Russia has accused Ukraine of launching an attack on one of President Vladimir Putin's residences, a day after Donald Trump held talks with Ukraine's president and a separate call with Putin. Russian officials say drones targeted a residence in the Novgorod region, but were destroyed by air defenses. The Kremlin says it will now review its position in peace negotiations. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy denies Putin's residence was targeted, saying it is a fabrication intended to undermine peace talks. Andrey Kortunov is the former Director General of the Russian International Affairs Council. Andrey, you're joining us from Moscow. It's good to have you on the program. So Russia says Ukraine launched an attack against Vladimir Putin's residence, as we just said, in Novgorod, and that Russia will review its negotiating position. Kyiv says the whole thing's a fabrication, and so far there hasn't been evidence of this attack. Your thoughts on this whole episode?
Well, first of all, it's very clear that we should regard the Russian statement as a signal primarily to the United States that Washington should not expect any softening of the Russian position in terms of the future peace agreement. Of course, the United States should use its own intelligence means, maybe space stations, satellites to verify the strike. But it's clear that Ukraine might have been engaged in something like that because over the last couple of months we witnessed an increase of Ukrainian attacks against various objects in the Russian Federation, deep in the Russian territory. So probably, indeed, that was another escalation step by Kyiv.
You could also make the argument, which is Ukraine's argument, that this accusation is convenient for Russia one day after Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Donald Trump had a fairly productive meeting at the White House.
Well, exactly. That's why I think that it's important for the United States to verify if it is possible to verify this attack, and maybe they can use their national intelligence means to do that. But it's clear that we right now, under the circumstances, cannot expect any additional concessions from the Russian side.
That was going to be my question. So you see no sign that Russia is willing to compromise. And if the Kremlin's position is still that they want all of Ukraine's Donbass region with minimal security guarantees provided by Western countries, the US and Europe, I mean, isn't that capitulation by another name?
Well, I think that on Donbass, it's pretty clear that the Kremlin wants all this territory to be controlled by Russia. They might still consider minor adjustments. For instance, there were statements in the Kremlin that probably Russia will deploy its heavy weapons in these new territories of Donbass, but Russia might limit itself to some units of police force and the National Guard to keep order there. But definitely, in terms of sovereignty, they want to get all of Donbass. In terms of the security guarantees, it's less clear. The issue is technical. I think that they accept the idea that Ukraine should have its security guaranteed, but it's not clear what it exactly means, because it has been against any foreign, especially Western troops on the territory of Ukraine. And I don't know whether, Article 5 type of security guarantees by the United States makes any sense if there are no foreign troops in Ukraine.
We don't know how this whole negotiation effort ends, but there is a scenario where Ukraine gets continued, maybe even increased military support from its Western allies, and Russia faces even stiffer economic sanctions. Does any of that deter Vladimir Putin?
I don't think. I think that the perception in Moscow is that Russia is making some progress on the ground, and that will continue in 2026. I think the perception is that there is a growing Ukraine fatigue in Europe, and it would be difficult for European nations to support Ukraine, especially if the United States is not ready to contribute substantially to this support. So I think that the current moods in the Russian leadership are quite upbeat. Of course, there are economic problems in Russia, and these problems will not fade away next year. However, the Russian economic system turned out to be quite adaptive and resilient. So I don't think that economic problems constitute immediate challenge to the Russian leadership.
All right, Andrey Kortunov, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.